So this time I got to speak with Monica Samuels. She is incredible and really amazing. She holds the title Sake Samurai, which is a very rare and special title given to people who've made outstanding contributions to the sake industry. So I was so excited to speak with her. And Monica is the director of sake and spirits at Vine Connections, a US sake and wine importing company. Hi, Monica!
Hi, Sarika. How are you?
How are you? Oh, Monica, thank you. And I'm so thankful to Sachiko.
Yeah, she's so great.
She's really fantastic. Okay, so
Well, when I was in college, I was studying marketing, but I was working at restaurants part-time. And because my mother's Japanese and I grew up bilingual, it was easy. It was easy for me to get jobs at Japanese restaurants because I could communicate with the chef. And so I worked at several sushi restaurants in Los Angeles, and I was always the first person to raise my hand anytime they were short staffed on anything. So I got to work behind the counter as a sushi chef at a restaurant for about a year. And I was very curious about beverage. So when it came to choosing wines and sakes for the program, I became invited to be part of the conversation. And when I finished college, I knew that I was much more passionate about the restaurant industry, especially the food and drink aspect of it, but that it's not really a sustainable career to be a restaurant server. So I moved to New York, um, planning to work for a marketing firm, but I ended up managing a restaurant that was a Japanese, Brazilian, Peruvian fusion restaurant. And so they really liked having someone like me who's more multicultural as like represent the restaurant. So I grew very quickly within this restaurant group. I took over as the general manager of the New York location. I took over the Chicago location as the general manager, and eventually I took over the beverage program. And so I was
took over everything.
yeah, and so we had 100 sakes on our sake list, and that was in 2004. So it was a really big list, especially for a place like Chicago. So it required a lot of education to get people comfortable with sake, and it required a lot of kind of other things to draw people in. You know, we would do sushi and sushi making classes with sake. We would have like kind of nightclub parties that served sake. We would have fashion shows with models we had a big rooftop and we would serve all sake. And so that was really fun. I got tired of living in Chicago when my home was in New York. I was living in a corporate apartment there, and I was really tired of the late nights. And I was invited by a distributor in New York to come and build a sake program for them, which was a great experience. I was there for 6 years. I helped. The company is Southern Wine and Spirits. It's probably the biggest alcohol distributor in America, and kind of creating a sake culture within that company was very interesting. But after that, I knew I really wanted to work for a more premium artisan sake company that was very passionate, represented more jizake, family owned craft sake. So I had been buying a lot of sake when I was working in restaurants from the company that I work for now, Vine Connections. And it's a small company, so I knew the owner very well. And we started talking, and now it's been 7 years that I've been with Vine Connections as their director of sake. And we're in all 50 states and a lot of Canada. And so normally I would be traveling all the time, but this coronavirus situation has kept me at home for the last few months, which has been interesting. But it's been great.
You're so amazing.
in America, it was definitely easier being a woman, especially in a restaurant. You know, I think it's making recommendations to someone about what they should drink. It's easier to do as a woman because there's less of an ego kind of scenario. And especially the distribution company that I was working with was very, very male dominated. And so nobody was intimidated by a woman trying to grow within the company, where I think a man might have faced more challenges. In Japan, I guess maybe, you know, I think because when I started going to sake breweries, there were not a lot of women allowed to go to breweries. And it was always very, you know, nobody else got the lecture that I got about, you know, make sure you're not using any perfumed shampoo and make sure you're not using perfume. Please don't wear jewelry. And I feel like everyone thought I was going to come in and contaminate the sake. And, you know, and then everyone would be doing the, like, when we would do the internships at the brewery, everyone would stay over and do like the nakashigoto for the koji making, and I would have to go to a business hotel, you know, because I couldn't stay at the brewery. So little things like that, but for the most part, I have not encountered any gender bias.
That's fantastic. And I'm from what I saw, so your company actually works a lot with breweries in Japan with women toji and female brewers and female company owners, which is great.
Yeah, it's really amazing. And the female brewers that I represent have become really good friends of mine, and we talk on the phone at least once a week. And we've done some promotions in Japan too, like since they didn't do the craft sake week this year, they did a lot of virtual experiences. So they did one that was women in sake. So it was Miho Imada from Fukucho and Miho Fujita from Yuho, and they invited me as well. And so that was so much fun.
And during the Corona times, Japan, though, a lot of the, well, there's, of course, in the whole sake industry, I think, or any industry, of course, Corona has been really bad news. But in Japan, especially, women have been impacted. And would you feel like the breweries that you're representing were impacted more?
Well, I can't say they were impacted more than everyone else. I mean, all breweries really struggled this year. The female brewers that we work with, they are single and they don't have families. So there wasn't pressure to become a stay-at-home mom or anything, as opposed to working. So, I mean, I see how the coronavirus has really affected working women much more than men in Japan, but I don't know if that has really impacted the women who I work with. Right now, I'm really trying to focus on our internal team and cultivating more confidence about sake and more excitement about sake. We import wine and sake, but this is the first year in 2020 that we will sell more sake than wine. So I think because of that, the owners of the company have really supported me in shifting the company culture a little bit so that we prioritize sake over wine. And so it's really exciting, and using that language to communicate with everyone who carries our product, you know, that this is our top priority, that we are a sake first company, is very unusual for an American company. And so it's really, really exciting.
That's really exciting. So you sell more sake than wine. Oh, that's really quite an amazing accomplishment.
Well, in terms of how I would like the sake culture in America to be in 10 years, I think is similar to how the wine culture has evolved. You know, I think 20 years ago, if you asked an average American what kind of wine they like, they would say red wine or white wine. And they probably didn't understand that there's so much variation within red and white wine. And so, you know, I think every day more and more Americans say, oh, I like sake. But to be able to say, oh, I like crisp and dry sakes, or I like umami driven sake, giving Americans a little more confidence and understanding of their own palate would be really exciting. And I think it takes time. So I think we're doing it little by little, but I really hope that in 10 years, the average American can walk into a bar and the bar would offer sake and more than one. And that American could say, oh, well, bring me something really fruity or bring me something really smoky and umami. That would be great.
Oh, that would be so lovely. but it seems like it's going to happen thanks to you.
I hope so. Exercise gives me a lot of relaxation. It's when I do my best thinking. So I love running, and normally I travel 3 weeks a month. So I always have like a jump rope in my suitcase. So even if I just have 10 minutes, I can just go clear my head. And if I have more, I love yoga. I really love skiing. And just any kind of exercise that doesn't involve a ball. I'm very bad at sports that involve a ball. And I love cooking. It used to be, because I traveled so much, it used to be such a special treat to be able to come home and make dinner. Now I'm making dinner every day. So it's a little more, it's a little less of a novelty, but it really helps me relax. And it's nice to come up with your own, I don't really use recipes. So it's nice to come up with your own combination of foods that you're really proud of and you like the way it turns out. And so, I would say cooking and exercise.
Oh, I should follow your advice. Monica, well, thank you so much. I know it's already been 20 minutes.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I think it's really amazing, this project that you're doing. And, I think that women, it's easy to feel like you're the only woman, in your industry sometimes, and then when there are a few women, I think it can get even more competitive because all of a sudden, if it's a few women and each woman wants to be the only woman in the industry. And so I think the more we can have this international community is the better. So I really appreciate what you're doing.
Oh, it's been so fun, and thank you. It's just been so amazing because you talk to one person and then you discover there are more such fantastic, so many exciting people around. There's not much more so amazing what you've already accomplished. And
well, I still have a lot of work to do, but thank you so much. And all right, bye now.
Bye.